In a commercial building project, we have a set of documents known as the construction documents. Most people call them CDs for short. So in a commercial project, you don't just have drawings. Drawings are part of the CDs, but they're only part. The drawings plus what's called the project manual together form the CDs, and that constitutes a legal contract, as we'll see as we go along here. That project manual, many people call it the specs, but it's more than the specs. So don't think you just have drawings and specs. You don't. You have drawings and a project manual. And the project manual contains instructions for bidding. It contains the contract, which everybody signs. It contains the general conditions, and it contains the specifications or specs. For the contract, the language in the contract comes from the AIA, the American Institute of Architects. They have worked out the legal language here very, very carefully because think about these projects. We are talking about a huge amount of money. And if this project somehow winds up in court, it may well come down to what are the precise words in the contract that everyone signed. So contracts are critically important, and AIA issues standard contract templates that architects follow. Then CSI, the Construction Specifications Institute, does the same thing for specifications language and for a numbering system called master format, and we'll look at both of those later. This contract is a legally binding document signed by the owner, the architect, or the lead designer, sometimes it's an engineer, and the general contractor. So I guess that's all I'll say about that. And the contract includes several details that are very important, like what are the due dates for each step in the project? What are the penalties if a subcontractor does not meet those due dates? What are the penalties to the general contractor if the sub does not meet those due dates? What are the methods for making change orders? What are the methods for resolving disputes? And so on and so forth. So in this set of construction documents, the CDs, we have these two complementary pieces that are equally important, the drawings and the specs are part of the project manual. The drawings and the specs support each other. The drawings show you geometry. They are graphic. They show things that you can represent with drawings. You see, and by quantitative we mean you can see sizes, locations, shapes, how big is it, where is it located. In the specs, these are not drawings, these are written words, and they are more about quality. They deal with what quality must the materials be? What quality must the methods be? What are standards for workmanship? What is a workmanship-like manner? Those are specs. The drafter and the spec writer will probably coordinate together, and there will probably be standards in your company about all of this, but it's very important that the people on the team do not give a piece of information more than one place. So there'll be some company standards about what goes on a drawing, what goes in a spec, and as with other standards related to drawings, we don't give duplicate information. We give a piece of information one and only one place. again, a reminder that this is about legal liability. And some commercial projects wind up in litigation. And don't be alarmed if you see that happening. It's actually very common. And what happens in litigation is often whoever is filing a lawsuit will do this, what would you call it, blanket scattershot. They'll name everybody under the sun who possibly ever even looked at this building as a party to the litigation. And then the legal process sorts that out, and eventually it boils down to who was actually responsible. Who used poor quality nails, for example? It wasn't the concrete contractor, it was the framer or something like that. So anyhow, these CDs, the drawings and the project manual, are a legal contract, and so they are very, very important, and we were very careful to be precise and to keep records of everything, including change orders. So the basic building blocks in the contract, and by the way, these pictures are from CSI. I think these are from a course in spec writing that I took from CSI a few years back. So they are explaining that in these legal documents that make up the CDs, you have the drawings and the specs, and those are connected together, see the peg, and then those rest on the general conditions of the contract, and then there are some other conditions of the contract. So together, those are all the conditions. Then there might be some addenda, things that are added, and that all gets bound together by the bidding process. So in the project manual are an explanation of how the bidding works. And if you've ever been involved in bidding, you know that there are guidelines, and if you don't meet them, you don't get to bid. So oftentimes, it's usually a competitive bid, and oftentimes there's a closing date. You must get your completed bid package submitted to so-and-so by 5 p.m. on a certain date. And if you are there at 5:01 p.m., that's too bad, you're out. And so you will see a lot of estimators frantically finishing things up on the final day of a bid, trying to get them in by 5. Then, once the bid has been awarded to the successful contractor, then we don't need the bidding requirements anymore, but we still have our contract with the drawing, the specs, the conditions, and any addenda. And then we might have change orders and other modifications that can get issued after that.